A circular pond is modeled by the following equation. The quantity squared of x plus 0, close the quantity, plus the quantity squared of x minus 7, close the quantity, equals 6,724. That's for the circular pond. So let's put a circular pond here on the screen. I'm not sure how this will work out. Okay, good. The equation of a circle is formulated because of the following. The center is here. The center of that circle is derived from here and here by changing the signs. Whatever this is, for example, if it were plus 8, then you would put a negative 8. If it's minus 6, you would put a positive 6. In this case, it's 0. Over here, it's minus 7. So we put a positive 7. That's how that equation comes to be. There is a diameter to that circle, and half of a diameter is the radius. The radius is the square root of the constant on the right-hand side. That's how the circle is generated. You know the center, you know the radius, you can draw a circle. So that's why this is the way it is. And you already know that this is a linear equation. There is a bridge that crosses the pond that is modeled by the following equation. Y equals 3x plus 2. So it's positive, so if we're following suit here, it would look similar to this. This would be the bridge that goes across the pond. You have two questions to answer. One is, or A, is does the bridge actually cross the pond? Because you can have the equation for a circle, the equation for the bridge, but the bridge could be way outside of the circle, and in that case it does not cross the pond. And you would need a new construction company. But if it does cross the pond, the answer is yes. And the only way you're going to know this is if these two equations actually work out. So you're going to have to solve for x and y and check these out and see if they actually make sense. So here's what we have. Let's copy them down here below. We have the quantity squared of x plus 0 plus the quantity squared of y minus 7, and that's equal to 6724. And then the bridge is y equals 3x plus 2. So let's start fresh from there. Okay, if this does actually work out, then that means that x here has the same value as x there. And y here would have the same value as y there. So you can manipulate one of these such that you can plug it into the other and just be left with one variable to solve for. For example, switching to bright red, 3x plus 2 is equal to y. Here's y in your circular equation. Instead of putting y there, could I not put 3x plus 2 and still have the same meaning? Yes, so let's do that. The quantity squared of x plus 0 plus 3x plus 2 in place of y, and then minus 7. And of course that equals 6724. Alright. Now we have to simplify this. X plus 0 is simply just x, and you can put a squared on it. But over here, 3x plus 2 minus 7 is difficult to work with unless you do plus 2 minus 7 to get 3x minus 5. Now we need to expand out this thing here. X squared plus 3x minus 5, squaring that quantity is the same thing as multiplying it by itself. And if I multiply it by itself, I have to do multiplication here, multiplication there, and then here and here. So that would be 9x squared plus, minus 15x plus 25 equals 67/24. And naturally, you would have to simplify. So I have an x squared and a 9x squared. That's 10x squared. Minus 15x is minus 30x. And then I have plus 25 equals 67/24. Okay. Well, we're heading towards a quadratic equation, but in order to solve it, we must have a 0 on this side. So we need to move that constant term over to the left. Change the sign. And then simplify those two constants at the end. 25 minus 67/24. Negative 66/99. So minus 66/99. Okay, there we go. There's our quadratic equation. And as a reminder, not as teaching it for the first time, the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. All of that is going to be over 2a. And b is going to be this, negative 30. So that's negative 30 plus, plus or minus the square root of the quantity squared of negative 30 minus 4 times 10 times negative 66/99. All of that over 2 times 10. Okay, so that should be a 30. Never make the mistake of multiplying that by 3 on the outside. Not that I would ever do that. And then the square root of 900 plus, and what did that come out to be? 4 times 10 times 66/99. 267,960. Okay, and on the bottom you have a 20. So we have to add together 900 and that long number to come up with 268,860, and then over 20. Alright, the first one is 30 plus the square root of 268,860 divided by 20. The other one is 30 minus the square root of 268,860, and then over 20. So you have two things to do. Alright, so do the square root of 268,860 first, and then add 30, and then divide by 20. Okay, you come up with that big mess of a number there. Here is one thing that we're going to start doing, and that is adding variables in here, numbers storing into variables. So on your calculator, don't just round this to some decimal place, even though you have to for the final answer. Don't lose what you have in your calculator now. For variable a, what you want to do is with that final answer you just found, 27.425 and on out, you want to hit the store button, which is STO. So what we've done is we've put into A on our calculator 27.425855582, and that represents that solution. So now let's go over to this one and do 30 minus, and then hit second x squared for the square root, 268,860, hit enter at that point. Alright, if you hit enter at that point, then you have to divide by 20 still. So you should come up with a value that you want to put into B that is negative 24.425855582. So hit store alpha, and the B character is on the apps button, and then hit enter. Alright, in our calculator we have the answers stored that we just showed on the screen. Now, one of them was, and all you have to do to see what it is just to hit alpha A and hit enter, and it'll bring up what we had. So one of them is going to be this. One of them is 27, and this is for X, 27.425855582, and that is for X. Let's plug that into here and see what happens. Alright, if we do that, we have Y equals, and I'm substituting X with A, because on your calculator this is what we have stored in there. Y equals 3A plus 2, and that's what I'm going to do now. So in my calculator I'm going to do 3 times alpha A and then plus 2. And here's what I get back. I get back 84.277564746. Okay. Now if this works out, then it should give me this up here when I plug it into X and Y. So if you want to, let's let this one, what we just found there, equal C in your calculator. So hit store alpha C and hit enter, so that we come up with that. Now let's work out this equation up here. Let's do the circle, and let's do X, which is what variable on our calculator? A. So let's do parentheses. A parenthesis, left-hand parenthesis, alpha A plus 0, right-hand parenthesis, and the X squared button. And then do plus, left-hand parenthesis. What did we let Y equal in the calculator? C. So alpha C, and the C is right on the program button, minus 7, right-hand parenthesis, X squared button, and then hit enter. What do we come up with? 6724. That is magic. So that is yes. That is a resounding yes. So here's what you can do. Remember that if the first question for A in the problem was, does this actually cross the pond? Well, we know that if it crosses the pond at one point, then it must cross the pond at another point. It just can't cross at one point for the bridge. So it is yes for A, we know that now, and we also now know one of our answers, and that is the following. The coordinates for one end of the bridge, and if you want to go back and find X, you just hit alpha A in your calculator. For one end of the bridge, it's x equals 27.43. You're going to round your final answers to 2 places. And then y equals 84.28. So there is one set of coordinates, or you could write those in point form, xy form. Alright, so now we have to do the same thing again, except we have to use the other x value. What did we use for the other x value? What letter? B. So let's come here and do x plus 0 squared, and then plus y minus 7 squared equals 67.24. I'm just recopying so I can zoom out the rest of this and just have a clean screen to look at. Alright, so let's go here. And B was this, the other x value. If you go to your calculator, alpha B, it is negative 24.4258582. We want to figure out what y should be, and then we're going to test it like we did before. Let's dump it into here. So let's do 3 times alpha b and then plus 2. When you do that, you come back with y being equivalent to negative 71.277564746. Let's store that into D as in dog. That's on the x to the negative 1 button. And then let's go back in here and test it out. Let's go to this equation up here at the top. Left-hand parenthesis, x in this case is what letter? Not D as in dog, but B as in boy. B as in boy, plus 0, right-hand parenthesis, x squared button, plus left-hand parenthesis. The y is what letter? D as in dog, minus 7, right-hand parenthesis, x squared, and then hit enter. What do we get? 67.24, so it does work out, and here are the other coordinates. Negative 24.43, and y is negative 71.28. So here are your answers. First, A is yes. It does cross the bridge in 2 places. And then for B, your coordinates, you can write them like this. You can write 27.43, comma, 84.28. And then the other set of coordinates, negative 24.43, comma, negative 71.28. Sloppily written, but you can tell.